This brother says,
is Muhammad a true prophet of God? Wow, I like this question, and I know many people wants to learn from this video. First of all, I want everybody to know something. Who is a prophet? A prophet is one that speaks to God, and God can also relate to him. God can also speak to him. When we read all through the Old Testament, we come to understand that God speaks to Moses, God speaks to Elijah, God speaks to Jeremiah, God speaks to all of them. But which Quranic verse that can actually prove that God spoke to Muhammad? There is not a single one. Allah never speaks to Muhammad. It is never recorded in the Quran nor in the Hadith. And beyond that, looking at the ways of Muhammad, looking at how he behaves, no prophet in his right mind or right senses can actually behave in those ways. Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl by the name of Aisha. Muhammad was the nearest to Satan. That is the reason why Muhammad, in his writing in Sahih Bukhari, he actually instructs people that if you are building a house, you should have 4 bedrooms, and then the 4th one should be for Satan. But however, in the Bible, Satan and us, we are enemies, but in the Quran, they are friends. It is recorded in Sahih Muslim that Satan sleep in the upper part of every Muslim here, the upper part of their nose, so they have to worship 3 times. And if you miss the Fajr prayer, like to say the 5 a.m. prayer, it is actually stated that Satan has urinated in your ears. Muhammad gave people 100% right to follow Satan, to worship Satan, because Satan actually dwells in every Muslim. But if you can show me one surah verse where it is written that Muhammad, being a prophet, Allah speaks to him, me, I will take shahada, me, I will become a Muslim. But however, there is non-Quranic verse and there is no hadith.
Anyway, the video is too long for me to post everything here. That is why I selected the most important part. However, the full video is available, and anyone who wants to watch can find the link under my caption. My brother, before I begin with you, let me analyze this. You said if anyone can show to you from the Quran or the hadith where Muhammad, being a prophet, Allah spoke to him, you will become a Muslim. I will show to you, but I'm not showing to you to make you become a Muslim. That is not how faith works. If you want to become a Muslim, that is your own choice and decision. No one can force you with a verse or a hadith. What I'm going to do is simply addressing your claim by showing you the truth. Muhammad, being a prophet, Allah indeed spoke to him. I don't know if you have learned about Hadith al-Qudsi. Almost 90% of those hadiths start with Qala Allah. This is Allah speaking to Muhammad. And have you read about the night journey of the prophet? If you have not, go and read it. You will find where when Allah entrusted the prayer to the prophet, he met Musa on the way coming, and Musa told him to go back and reduce it because we cannot bear them all. So the prophet went back to Allah and requested for reduction, and Allah reduced it for him. He came back and Musa told him to go back again. Then he went and Allah reduced it. He went for the 3rd time and Allah said to the prophet, these are 5 prayers and they are equal to 50 in reward, for my word does not change. This is Allah speaking to Muhammad. That is just by the way. Now, you began your video by saying that many people want to learn from this video. Indeed, many people are eager to learn, but I have only one advice for you. You yourself need to sit down and learn first. You need to refine your understanding, your knowledge of foundation before teaching others, including your grammar and your comprehension. Let me illustrate something with a simple example. When building a house, you need a strong foundation. If the foundation is weak or poorly built, the entire house will eventually collapse. The foundation you built in this argument is weak and it cannot support your claim. You said a prophet is someone who can speak to God and God can also speak to him. Alright, no problem. If we take your definition literally, Satan spoke to God and God also spoke to Satan. There is no mediator between Satan and God. Does that make Satan a prophet? Cain spoke to God and God also spoke to Cain. There is no mediator between them. Does that make Cain a prophet? When God was speaking to Abraham, Sarah laughed and God asked Sarah, according to the Bible, that why did she laugh? And Sarah spoke back to God and God spoke to Sarah. Does that make Sarah a prophet? What about Eve? There is no mediator between God and Eve. They spoke to each other. What about Balaam? Yet they are not considered prophets. So clearly, by your definition, many individuals who are not considered prophets will be qualified to be prophets. Your definition also excludes legitimate prophets from the Bible, because many prophets never spoke to God. Daniel is considered one of the greatest prophets in the Bible. He never spoke to God. Zechariah never spoke to God. Ezekiel never spoke to God. Joseph never spoke to God. John the Baptist never spoke to God. Yet they are considered prophets. So your claim that Muhammad is not a prophet because he never spoke to God, which is not true, is inconsistent, because the Bible recognizes many people to be prophets who even never spoke to God. But one thing I want you to understand is this: God has different ways of speaking to his prophets. From the Quran and from the Bible, God speaks to his prophet through dreams, revelations, visions, and angelic communication. A prophet is someone chosen by God to receive revelations, guidance, and instructions, then conveys it to people, whether through direct speech, dreams, vision, or angelic communication. The Prophet Muhammad received revelation through angelic communication. وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيًا يُوحَىٰ عَلَّمَهُ شَدِيدُ الْقُوَىٰ. This is what we call angelic communication. So your foundation alone disqualifies you to be someone to judge between prophets, because you yourself, you don't know who a prophet is. So how can you choose to your audience that this is a prophet and this is not a prophet when you do not know the actual definition of a prophet? You argue that Muhammad cannot be a prophet because of how he behaved, referring to his marriage to Aisha Aisha, this your argument cannot stand on multiple levels. There are countless historical and scholarly evidences showing that Aisha had indeed reached puberty and maturity before her marriage was consummated. This is not speculation, it comes from Aisha herself. In Sahih al-Bukhari, hadith number 476, Aisha herself states that she had already attained puberty when her parents were Muslims, and this was before the Prophet got married to her. More importantly, the Prophet's enemies in his time mocked him for everything, yet never once accused him of marrying a child. His family, societies, and contemporaries who knew the norms of the time never raised these accusations. Secondly, if this disqualified prophethood, then the entire Bible collapses. You said no prophet in his right senses would ever behave like that. Then you also believe Jesus is God, and God does not change according to Malachi 3:6. That means by your belief, Jesus is the God of Moses. Now when you read Numbers 31, the God of Moses commanded him to unalive men, to unalive women who had relations, to unalive boys, and spare the little girls for themselves. And according to Deuteronomy, the ruling on taking a slave woman is to be taken as a wife. If your stand is that no prophet in his right senses would ever do this, then according to your own theology, Jesus, which is your God in his right senses, instructed that. Moses, who is a prophet in his right senses, did that. You cannot say Muhammad is not a prophet for something historically disputed and morally contextual, while excusing explicit biblical commands involving war captives and young girls. It's either you apply the same moral standard to all prophets, or you admit you are being selective, and selective moral outrage is not an argument. Then you made mention of 3 hadith, one of which is about a bed for Satan. This particular hadith has already been explained in details in a separate video of mine. I simply do not repeat explanations I've already made publicly. Anyone who is genuinely interested can search for it and watch. In Islam, there is a principle, and that principle is this: anything attributed to Shaitan is to be avoided. In Arabic, this expresses with lishaitan, and this principle is clearly stated in the Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah, Quran chapter 5 verse 90. So when you read the hadith, that particular bed is described as lishaitan, and Islamic principle is that anything that is described as lishaitan is to be avoided. So just get the full video and you will understand everything. The hadith that says that Satan sleeps in the upper part of the nose. This does not mean Satan is a physical creature living in people's nose. Let me break it down for you. Sleeping represents heedlessness. Satan represents negligence and spiritual laziness. Washing the nose in the morning represents awakeness, cleanliness, and spiritual alertness. It is imagery, just like saying sin has dirtied your heart. No one imagined literal death inside the heart. And the hadith that says that Satan urinates in the ear of the one who misses Fajr. This does not mean Satan literally urinates as a biological being. The meaning is this: the ear represents attentiveness and obedience. Urination symbolizes humiliation, domination, and control. Missing Fajr shows deep negligence to the point that Satan has gained influence over the person. These are strong moral imagery, not anatomy. Jesus Christ used the same languages in the Bible on several occasions. In the book of Matthew, Jesus Christ said, if your right eye causes you to sin, then gouge it out, and if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. My question is this: when and where in history have you ever seen a Christian gouge out an eye or cut off a hand because of sin? Jesus Christ said, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here, and the mountain will move. My question is this: when in history has a Christian ever moved a mountain? Unless you want to tell me that Christians don't have faith. Jesus Christ was talking to the Pharisees, and he said to them, woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You strain out a gnat but swallow a camel. My question is this: when or where in history have you ever heard that a Pharisee swallowed a camel? In the book of John, Jesus Christ said, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. My question is this: when in history have you ever heard that a human being eats another human being flesh and drink his blood, if not for vampires? So my brother, before using imagery and metaphorical languages to mock Islam, first of all ask yourself, do you understand metaphors? Metaphorical languages does not make a person false. Otherwise, Jesus Christ would have been the first person to be accused. Mocking Islamic metaphors whilst excusing biblical metaphors is not scholarship, it is selective literalism. And selective literalism collapses the moment consistency applied. Then you said that in the Bible you and Satan are enemies, but when you come to the Quran, we are friends. That is why I said you should sit down and learn. This is what Allah said in the Quran: Inna shaytana lakum aduwwun fattakhidhuhu aduwwa. Indeed, Satan is an enemy to you, so take him as an enemy. Ya ayyuhan nasu kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiban wa la tattabi'u khutuwati shaytan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. O mankind, eat from whatever is on the earth that is lawful and good, and do not follow the footsteps of Satan. Indeed, he is to you a clear enemy. Then you said Muhammad instructs us to worship Satan. Quran chapter 36 verse 60. Alam a'ahad alaykum ya bani Adam alla ta'budu shaytan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. Did I not enjoin enjoin you, O children of Adam, that you should not worship Satan, for indeed he is to you a clear enemy. That is why I said you should swallow your pride and learn. Because in contrast, whatever you said is from your head, and we don't deal with that. You get the point. Assalamu alaikum.